Welcome to Boston University. This training will talk about the important subject of sexual misconduct. In the bottom corner, you will see a picture of a book with an A and a Z on it. When you see this picture, it means that we'll be talking about what the definition of a word is. Sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct is a word that describes behaviors that are unwelcome or that a person does not want. Any person can experience or commit or do sexual misconduct. That includes people of any race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. Title IX policy. Title IX is a policy that does not allow discrimination because of sex or gender at school or work. Sexual misconduct is not allowed under Title IX and gives people rights if they experience sexual misconduct. Take care of yourself. It may feel upsetting to learn about sexual misconduct. There are ways to take care of yourself while watching this training video. You can watch it alone, watch it with a person you trust, or take breaks during the training video. This training is about topics and situations that you may find difficult. It may feel supportive or good to see that BU teaches students to respect others. It may also bring back memories that are difficult. If the training is too hard because of uncomfortable memories, you can email wellcourses@bu.edu and ask not to complete it. Training requirement. BU wants a safe campus for all students. We are a community that cares for each other. This is why BU requires that all students learn about sexual misconduct. We will talk about several topics in this training video. Topics that we will talk about include sexual misconduct in the United States and around the world, definitions of sexual misconduct, resources for students, and reporting sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct in the United States. Talking about sexual misconduct. People talk about sexual misconduct in American culture and on university campuses like BU. This might be a new experience for international students. In some cultures, talking about sexual misconduct may not be common. Here is a video of international students talking about sexual misconduct.
In China, people won't talk such topics in the public area because it is really sensitive in China.
Bolivia is a very conservative country, so I would say that because of that, there is like kind of a taboo, so people don't talk openly like than here.
I think a lot of people, when they hear about sexual harassment, sexual assault, they get a little bit fidgety like that because it's weird. In some countries, especially my countries, it's a taboo thing to talk about sex.
It's a very harsh topic, you know. It's something we usually treat it like don't ask, don't tell. Even most of the girls that had experiences like that, they would not even share it with their friends or anyone. It's like they would just keep it to themselves.
From my university, from my school, we only have specific class talking about this. But it's not mandatory, it's not the orientation. I think because for our culture, even though right now China is more open and reformed, but they still had the tradition still had a big influence, which is we don't talk that kind of topic. Anything associated with sex, associated with this thing, we don't talk that directly on the table.
Talking about sexual misconduct. In your culture, people might not talk about sexual misconduct. This training will talk about sexual misconduct openly so that you understand what it means. This training will also talk about your rights as a BU student if you experience sexual misconduct. Next, we will talk about definitions related to sexual misconduct. Additionally, there will be scenarios that help walk through what these definitions mean. Consent. Consent is having a person's permission before and during a sexual act. There is consent when all people say with words what sexual act they want to do. Ask the other person if they want to do the sexual act. Understand clearly what is being asked. Want to do the sexual act. And feel comfortable to say no or stop the sexual act at any time. There is not consent when someone is trying to make or force a person to have sex, making someone have sex if they do not want to, or using alcohol or drugs to get a person to do something sexual. This scenario will ask the question, is this consent? Here is the scenario. Anjali and Sonia are dating and have had sex one time. Tonight, they kiss and Sonia suddenly stops. Sonia says, "Wait, I'm not sure about this." Anjali is mad and says, "But we have had sex before." Sonia feels bad, so she has sex with Anjali. Is this consent? This is not consent. Even though Anjali and Sonia had sex one time, Sonia did not want to have sex tonight. Since Sonia did not want to have sex, this was not consent. This scenario is also about consent. Again, we are looking to answer the question, is this consent? Here is the scenario. Nick asks Ella if she wants to do a noob sexual act. Ella says, "I don't know what that is. I'm not sure I want to do that." Nick tells Ella what he would like to do and that they can stop at any time. Ella understands what Nick would like to do. She decides that she would like to try the sexual act. This is consent. After Ella and Nick talked about the sexual act, Ella wanted to try it. Ella gave permission. She can also stop at any time. This is an example of consent. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is a type of sexual misconduct. Sexual harassment can be spoken words, written words, or touching that a person does not want. Here are some examples of sexual harassment. Spoken words. Unwanted jokes, questions, or comments about someone's body, appearance, or sexual habits. Written words. Sexual words in emails, text messages, blogs, or drawings. Touching. Sexual gestures, touching parts of the body, or staring. This scenario is about sexual harassment. Please answer the question, is this sexual harassment? Here is the scenario. Eric asks his professor for a recommendation letter. Eric's professor says, "I will write it if we talk about this on a date. Dinner and drinks?" Eric feels uncomfortable. He worries that if he says no to the date, his professor will not write a letter. This is sexual harassment. Eric is uncomfortable with his professor's response. Eric does not want to go on a date to get a letter. Sexual assault. Sexual assault is a type of sexual misconduct. Sexual assault is a sexual act without a person's consent. Remember that consent is having a person's permission before starting and also during a sexual act. Rape is one type of sexual assault. Is this sexual assault? Here is the scenario. Maria and Ian are at a party and drinking alcohol. Maria invites Ian to her apartment and asks him if he wants to have sex. At the party, Maria had a lot to drink. Because Maria had a lot to drink, Ian was not sure if this was consent. Ian decided not to have sex with Maria and decides to talk to her the next day. This is not sexual assault. Consent is not using alcohol or other drugs to get a person to do something sexual. Since Ian was not sure if this was consent, he waited. If Ian had sex with Maria, it would be sexual assault. Sexual exploitation. Sexual exploitation is a type of sexual misconduct. Sexual exploitation is using a person's nakedness or sexual act without their permission. Sexual exploitation can be pictures, videos, or posts on social media. Is this sexual exploitation? Here is the scenario. Jess and Kevin meet on the soccer team and are attracted to each other. They agree to share naked pictures of each other. Jess and Kevin get into a fight. Jess sends the naked pictures of Kevin to the soccer team without his permission. This is sexual exploitation. Jess did not have permission to share these photos of Kevin with the soccer team. Stalking. Stalking is a type of sexual misconduct. Stalking is attention that a person does not want and that makes them feel afraid. Stalking can happen in person, on social media, text messages, blogs, or email. Is this stalking? Here is the scenario. Laura's classmate Chris asks her on a date. Laura tells Chris, no thanks. Chris follows Laura to and from class for a week. Each day he asks Laura on a date. Laura stops going to class to avoid Chris. This is stalking. Chris's continued unwanted attention made Laura feel uncomfortable. Relationship violence. Relationship violence is a type of sexual misconduct. Relationship violence is harm done by a boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner. It can be emotional or physical harm. It can also be a threat of harm by a partner. Sometimes this is called dating violence or domestic violence. Is this relationship violence? Here is the scenario. Dave and Kim are dating. Kim gets mad when Dave wants to hang out with his friends. Kim says, I will break up with you if you go to the movies tonight with your friends. Dave stops hanging out with his friends so that Kim does not break up with him. This is relationship violence. Dave stops doing something he enjoys because Kim threatens to break up with him. Next, we will talk about resources at Boston University. Confidential resources. Confidential resources are departments at BU where you can talk to people about sexual misconduct privately and decide what to do. Confidential resources do not give information to parents, professors, partners, or CELOP staff without your permission. These are some confidential resources at Boston University. First, there is the BU Sexual Assault Response and Prevention Center, which is also called SARP. You can call SARP at any time of day, and their phone number is 617-353-7277. The next confidential resource is BU Behavioral Medicine. You can call behavioral medicine at 617-353-3569. A third confidential resource at Boston University is Boston University Primary Care. You can call primary care at 617-353-3575. Talking about options. If you experience sexual misconduct, it may feel difficult to know what to do. The BU Sexual Assault Response and Prevention Center, or SARP, can talk to you about your options. SARP is a confidential resource. You can call SARP at 617-353-7277 at any time of the day. Non-confidential resources. Non-confidential resources are people who work at BU and must tell the Title IX coordinator if they hear about sexual misconduct. You can choose to talk to anyone about sexual misconduct. It's important to know that if you choose to talk to a non-confidential resource about sexual misconduct, they must share this information. CELOP is a non-confidential resource. If you choose to talk with CELOP staff about sexual misconduct, they must share this information with the BU Title IX coordinator. Next, we will talk about reporting sexual misconduct. Reporting. Students who experience sexual misconduct may want to make a report. Reporting is when you tell someone about your experience of sexual misconduct so that BU or the police will investigate or look into what happened. Reports are not confidential. However, BU staff will only tell people who must know about the misconduct. These are some non-confidential reporting resources at BU. First, there is the BU Title IX coordinator. You can call them at 617-353-9286. Next, there is the BU Office of Judicial Affairs. You may call this office at 617-358-0700. Next, there is the BU Police Department. You can call the BU Police Department at 617-353-2121. Talking about reporting options. Reporting sexual misconduct may feel complicated or confusing. The BU Sexual Assault Response and Prevention Center, or SARP, can tell you what reporting might be like for you and help you understand your choices. Again, CELOP is a confidential resource where you can talk privately. You can call CELOP at any time of the day. On this webpage, you can find more information about sexual misconduct. Below, please see links to BU's Title IX brochure, BU's Title IX policy, and BU's sexual misconduct report form. Acknowledgements. This training was created by BU Wellness and Prevention Services, the BU Sexual Assault Response and Prevention Center, or SARP, and the CELOP program. Definitions were adapted from the BU Title IX brochure. Some scenarios were adapted from the EverFi Sexual Assault Prevention courses. Images are taken from the EverFi Sexual Assault Prevention courses. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about sexual misconduct. To finish the training, please answer the questions under this video.